What if Game of Thrones was actually a theme park?
What if the Flintstones takes place after the apocalypse?
And what if Walter White accidentally caused the zombie apocalypse?
Why are there no adults in Teletubbies?
And what if Winnie the Pooh and his friends represent different psychological disorders?
Tonight we're going down 5 of the strangest conspiracy theories that we found. Some of these actually have evidence behind them, some are absolutely ridiculous, and a couple might make you look at your childhood a little differently.
With Game of Thrones and Westworld, what if Westeros isn't another world at all? What if it's a theme park? For anyone who hasn't watched it, Westworld revolves around an incredibly advanced theme park. Guests enter an artificial world populated by highly sophisticated hosts, which are robots. The hosts can be made to believe their world is real, and the park can recreate entire historical fantasy environments. So imagine you're a ridiculously wealthy person, and in the Westworld universe, instead of going to Wild West Town, you want to go to Westeros and fight dragons and whatnot.
And now this is not something that people have just pulled out of nowhere. In Westworld Season 3, viewers actually see a dragon host inside the Delos facility, along with the Game of Thrones creators playing technicians. Excuse the fire truck. He's got somewhere important to be. So, we didn't know much about this until we were researching, because apparently this is one of the #1 TV conspiracies that I didn't know about.
I didn't know about it because I've never seen Game of Thrones. I've not watched a single episode of it. And then I've also never watched Westworld. I remember Westworld was very popular for a while. I guess it kind of just fell off. In like one of the scenes, there's the dragon robot, and the 2 showrunners of Game of Thrones make a cameo because they're working on the dragon robot. And I guess because they're at the same family of HBO or whatever it was, that they're like, oh, let's put this in for the people that watch. What did somebody say? They thought Bronn is a human and not a host. And that, because I think one guest goes into the Westworld world, into their little theme show thingy-majiggies, and they can just basically live out their fantasy world. But everybody else around them is a robot, and they can't harm humans. So their reason was somebody has to be, which, okay, there does have to be a human guest. It has to be someone who has no real connection to the plot, nor any family, just shows up out of nowhere like the guests do in Westworld. They also have to directly be involved with the main plot. Even if it doesn't make sense, if the plot isn't directly driven by them, they should still have full control over their own choices. Any possible guests can't have gotten to know each other during the story, or else they would have potentially realized and been able to talk openly about the real world, which, having not watched the show, I'm guessing that's like something you're not supposed to do when you're in fantasy world or whatever.
Yeah.
The hosts can't harm guests, so it has to be a character or characters who make it through the entire show. Not only alive, but basically unharmed. It eliminates the vast majority of characters in Game of Thrones, which I've heard a lot of people die. Spoiler, I guess. A few characters that could be contenders, like I guess that could be guests, would be Howland Reed. And I'm going to read off these names. I have no idea who these people are. Howland Reed, possible guest. Tormund Giantsbane. Dario Naharis. Bronn, who was introduced in Season 1 as an unemployed sellsword, staying at the inn at a crossroads, and finishes the story in Season 8 as Lord of Highgarden, Lord Paramount of the Reach, Master of Corn, and the founder of his house. How? Speedrunning?
Which I heard a lot about this guy researching.
This person did a really nice breakdown of it, where it's like he has reasons from Season 1 to all the way to Season 8 for why Bronn is the guest. It's a really nice conspiracy theory, and it's the one that does work the best, I think, especially having not seen either of them after seeing a lot of the people talk about it. It makes the most sense. Problem: Westworld, I'm guessing, came after Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is a book first. So, no, it isn't, but it's a really, really good theory. Now, I'm pretty sure Westworld is just a TV show. No, there's no Westworld books series or anything like that. I don't know, maybe the showrunners of Westworld thought about it, and maybe that's part of why they went with Westworld, was to, I don't know, gain off of like Game of Thrones stuff. I really don't know which one came first.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones came out in 2011 and it ran until 2019. Okay, so 2016. So the TV show for Game of Thrones had already started when Westworld was created. So maybe there's inspiration from that. It's such a viable conspiracy theory that it feels it should be legit. Like that's what it is. Westeros is a theme park in Westworld.
So there's no straight up facts. I mean, it's a cool conspiracy theory, but instead of Westworld contains a Game of Thrones theme park, people are more looking at it like Game of Thrones is the story of what could have happened inside of the park.
Very good, strong conspiracy theory start. And then we move on to the next one, which is one that I have heard before, and it seems very interesting. It's the Flintstones.
So let's go back in time, or maybe we don't. The Flintstones take place after civilization has collapsed, so they say. This is what makes the show weird in some people's eyes, because the Flintstones have a lot of modern technology. Cars, telephones, television, bowling, drive-in restaurants, advertising, modern jobs, modern families, appliances, shopping, and basically a recognizable suburban American lifestyle. But everything is powered by prehistoric technology.
Why would people who live in the Stone Age have a concept of television? Why do they know what bowling is? And why do they have drive-in movies? And how do they have drive-in movies? Dinosaurs are somehow back and domesticated. I wouldn't say back, but they're somehow domesticated. Also, his garbage disposal is a dinosaur. Like, a lot of their appliances are like dinosaurs. So I guess the idea is that humans once had our level of civilization, and then something catastrophic happens, and humanity eventually gets rebuilt. But instead of rediscovering modern technology, they reconstructed society using whatever remained. This particular theory is fan speculation and not established Flintstones canon, of course. Versions of the theory circulate in fan communities quite often.
Which, like, we saw the show growing up, hear of it all the time, and you don't think of this stuff until someone points it out, and then it makes it weird. So imagine civilization collapsing, millions or billions of people disappear. Generations would pass, and eventually no one remembers electricity, engines, computers, skyscrapers, or modern manufacturing, but they remember the concepts. So someone remembers, my great-great-great-grandfather used to watch something called a television. And then they build a stone box with a bird inside.
Yay, television.
Entertainment in a box.
Yep. And then here's the thing though. Where did the dinosaurs come from? Dinosaurs were never extinct, I guess. Like, were they genetically recreated? Did they Jurassic Park that stuff? Did the apocalypse somehow change the planet to make dinosaurs reemerge? But then let's think about the Jetsons. Popular fan theory connects those two shows by imagining the Jetsons living above a damaged Earth while the Flintstones inhabit the surface. Basically, from what I've read, it is the Jetsons are like, they're rolling in the money, they're like up there, they're high society. And then you have the Flintstones who are like just the bottom feeders. So they get the whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, they get no technology. Yeah. They're just living it up.
So yeah, so it's like the rich people went up into the sky to continue living so they didn't have to deal with the apocalypse that was happening on the ground. But like, my question for that is, you see the land of the Flintstones, you see like what areas they live in, and you see like when you watch the Jetsons, you see like their whole like city, what be what it may. How do you not see, like, if they're in the sky, how are they up there? Yeah. I guess is my question. It's like, how are their buildings like staying up there? Is it like their technology is able to just keep their whole lands afloat, or is this like really tall rock mountains that are like on the Flintstones level? You see the huge rock mountains and then it's like nothing but cloudscapes. And so you don't see the up top.
That kind of goes with the theory that everyone's saying is like they dumbed them down, so their technology moved on. Maybe they can like float up there somehow.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Terry Pratchett's Discworld. We're on the back of a turtle and elephants and all that.
That's a little bit of nostalgia throwback. So now we're going to move on to a little bit more modern times. Breaking Bad meets The Walking Dead. I'm not fully convinced, but
yeah,
it makes you think a little bit. So supposedly, this is all a theory. We're not saying any of this is true.
Yeah, no.
Breaking Bad is supposedly a prequel to The Walking Dead. Why are people saying this? Because Walter White's blue meth somehow contributes to the zombie apocalypse. Everyone's theory became famous enough that apparently Netflix itself produced a video exploring it in 2016. The most famous connection is that the blue meth appears in the Walking Dead universe. Fans point out that there's meth found among Merle Dixon's belongings as a connection to Walter's product, but that's not the only thing people have found.
So let's just jump through the rabbit hole just a little bit. The blue meth, of course, Walter's signature product, appears to have crossed over into another universe. Could it have been an Easter egg? Sure. I mean, is this once again, are these two shows by the same, like, showrunners? Not showrunners, but like how Westworld and Game of Thrones, I think, are all on HBO. Were these on the same programming, like, network?
Yeah, it was like, isn't it like AMC or something like that?
Yeah, it could have been yet another Easter egg. And then we have the idea that Jesse Pinkman is Merle's dealer. Fans apparently connected Daryl's description of Merle's dealer to Jesse. So let's take your generic description of a TV's style of drug dealer. That's probably always going to look like Jesse Pinkman, I feel like, because they kind of stick to this, like, style. Like, they all look the same on TV shows for the most part. But then there's the red Dodge Challenger. Fans noticed vehicles and other visual similarities between the franchises, which, I mean, granted, if it's on the same network, I feel like they're gonna be a little similar.
They're gonna have access to the same props.
Exactly, yeah. Because it's not like, I feel like if there's something that is easier to get because you already have it on hand, they're gonna use it. And that could have been just a red Dodge Challenger. Could have been somebody who was working on both shows' cars, and they're like, yeah, use my car for the shot or something. But who knows? But then there's also Heisenberg. There are supposed references that fans interpret as another connection. Again, references from in one TV show about another TV show, to me, just screams Easter eggs. Like, hey, if you watch this show on our program, you're gonna catch this. And we're gonna bounce back and forth off of these shows so that maybe like, hey, I get that. And then you're watching another show that people were really into Breaking Bad. People were really into The Walking Dead. They were watching them probably together. So like, hey, that's cool. So it's probably, again, more Easter eggs.
Well, it's also like Apple TV. Every Apple TV show, you can tell it's Apple TV. All the Netflix shows look like Netflix shows. So it's like, this is just the old school version of that.
Yeah. And then there's like the song in Breaking Bad became another piece of the theory because it's Heisenberg references and its appearance in the broader Walking Dead discussion. I didn't do a whole lot of research on that one because I'm guessing the song, they mean the theme song, but I've never seen...
Still, this could all be excused. Same network, same access to the same things.
Same, yeah. I've never seen Breaking Bad to the point where I don't even know what their intro song is. That's another reason. So the Heisenberg references and the song, like, appearing in the Walking Dead area. It's a song. People listen to songs. And it could just be, like, people like music. So, hey, this person likes this music. This person likes this music. Again, Easter egg, or just reuse of the same sound. Kind of like the Willem scream. It gets used for everything.
And it's like, again, same companies have same access to the same things because they already got permission for it. So why, like, it's the same style show too, like rundown apocalypse stuff. So it's like the same music's gonna go for all of them. So
yeah. So they basically think that the meth itself is what caused the switch in the brain, I guess, to become a zombie. Because there's that scene where I guess the guy, what was his name? I know of him. He was the one that ran Pollo Loco, whatever, the chicken place. Spoiler alert, I guess. I know of this and I've never seen the show. The place explodes and the dude gets deaded, but then he like is walking around with like Two-Face with his dang like half his face gone, and he's supposedly a zombie, and like he came back, and so that was what made people think this guy is walking around. He's dead, but he's walking around. He's like, that's my guess. Again, never seen The Walking Dead. I've seen The Walking Dead. I've never seen Breaking Bad. I will probably never watch it. I know of the pizza scene where you throws it up on that person's, on his roof or whatever. That poor woman that owns that house for a while kept getting people throwing pizzas on top of her house.
Yeah, I've heard of that. That's just crazy.
But that's one where I'm like, no, it's cute, but I don't know.
These are all fan connections and Easter egg arguments, not facts. We're not saying these are true or not. It's just interesting. Again, like you just said, if Walter White didn't create the apocalypse, who or what did? If the meth didn't literally turn people into zombies, maybe it was chemical exposure, a virus, catalyst, something happening at the same time. Maybe it's just completely unrelated. It all sounds like they're just throwing out maybe this, maybe that.
Yeah. Anything to like grasp at straws here.
Because also Breaking Bad takes place in New Mexico and The Walking Dead initially centers around Georgia. So again, like a virus could have spread, but they don't really have any crossovers in that sense.
Yeah, that's one that just doesn't hold water. We're gonna go from Walter White causing the zombie apocalypse to 4 colorful creatures living underground, and somehow this might be the most disturbing one. Good old Teletubbies.
It's so nostalgic, more than the Flintstones.
Yeah, Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala, and Poe. They have a lot of theories about them, that is for sure.
They're all creepy too.
Yeah. So Teletubbies takes place after some kind of apocalypse. That is the theory people are going with. There are many other ones that I've heard of, but this is the one that gets brought up the most. So where are the adults? There's no obvious parents. There isn't a normal town. There isn't a school. There isn't a city. It's just Teletubby land. And if you look at like the world around them, it's a vast empty landscape. There is no normal civilization. They have an underground hobbit home kind of dealio, where it's like a mound in the ground. They have odd machinery that doesn't really make sense as to how it works. It's a very artificial looking environment. They have constant surveillance-like presence.
That's the creepy part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the things poking up out of the ground and looking around like, what are you and why are you? Yeah. It's like, are these things looking in at the Teletubbies like they're experiments? Like, what, are they experiments? Are they test subjects? I don't know. The sun has a baby face. The sun is a face of a baby.
That might be the weirdest part of all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That choice might be the weirdest part of all.
Yeah. It's like this deity creeping up and just like watching them. Just like, how you doing, guys? Just a reminder, I'm watching you. And also, you know, the fact that they have screens embedded in their stomachs, that they like it zooms into their tummies and starts like watching a clip of like a kid making hot cocoa at a coffee shop or something. So why are we okay with this?
Well, why did our parents think it was okay to... Maybe human civilization disappeared. The Teletubbies are descendants of some altered form of humanity. Again, this is a theory. Maybe they're genetically engineered beings. Maybe they're just surviving in an artificial environment, which that's creepier to me. Or maybe they were humans and they're just not humans anymore, which I don't get that one.
Humanoid robots? Maybe it's
no,
like
it's all a crossover.
You know, a RoboCop crossover. Like how they took parts of him and like made him a robot so that he's still alive, but he's really only just like I think like a spine and like a head. Then you have these that have the screen in the stomach, so maybe they're just like humanoid cyborg things that are test subjects.
That is the creepiest of all and the darkest theory. is some versions of the theory suggest that they are being observed or experimented on. There's fan theories about Teletubby Land resembling a controlled environment where the characters' routines are managed by unseen forces. These are all fan interpretations rather than official story material. So, the stomach screens.
Stomach screens,
Why
man.
do they have TVs in their stomachs?
So the Teletubbies are very clearly, like, not babies, but like toddlers, right? So what if they like took the mind of a toddler or like a child, put it into a robot, and they're like letting it learn like a child does, but it's actually a robot or like some other kind of like being?
It's just AI.
Oh my gosh, there's your new theory. That giant baby face sun, though, is probably one of the things that people talk about the most, that creeps them out the absolute most. The baby face sun coming up, I always laugh at it because I'm like, that's weird. I like it. But I mean, if you saw the Teletubbies walking through the woods at night, would you assume, aw, those are so cute? Or would you run for your life? I don't know that I would want to just stay and like confront these 4 giant beings with screens on their stomachs walking towards me in a dark forest. I'd be like, okay, bye, I'm leaving now.
Yes, because are we going with the theory that they're kid size? Because the real life, when they're filming, they're like 8 or 9 foot tall.
They're huge. Now, that would be something if you got like a proper size comparison of them standing to what they're supposed to be, you know? Like, what if they are small little creatures? But watching that show, they look huge.
Like, why? Like, why though? Why was it easier for them to film them as giants? That's like the confusing part.
I guess because they wanted, child labor laws. You can't have a kid wearing that suit for a long period of time. Let's stick an adult in that suit. So they end up being proportionately looking huge. But I feel like it would make more sense. Like if it had been like an animated show and they had them as small little creatures, it would have been like, oh, okay, I got it. It's cute little thingies.
Like Boopa.
Oh my god. That shows a whole nother level of weird. Freaking Boopa, man. Don't even get me started on that show. Our final theory is probably the one that made me question my childhood a little bit. That the characters of the show supposedly represent different psychological disorders. Important disclaimer. This is a popular interpretation, not an official diagnosis of these characters. The person that did the show did not establish that the characters were intended to represent specific mental disorders. If you haven't guessed the show, which you probably honestly have at this point, it's Winnie the Pooh.
Which it blows my mind because it totally makes sense when you just think of it.
I was actually reading a book, a Winnie the Pooh story to my son the other day, and like looking through it, I was like, wow, yeah, this scarily makes sense. And it could have, maybe they did this on purpose. Maybe it is just a theory, but it's, after reading the book, like the book to him, it's very believable.
The first common interpretation, starting off with Winnie the Pooh, the most popular character of them all. He supposedly has obsessive behavior, specifically around honey/food. He's constantly thinking about it. He'll risk it to get in trouble for it. He'll obsess over getting it. Is he actually addicted to honey?
So is it like a play off of like addictive behavior?
Yeah, I think so.
Or like addictive personalities?
Yeah. Then we have Piglet, who represents anxiety. Constantly nervous, afraid of everything, worries about everything, low confidence, and stuttering.
I mean, Piglet is basically the physical embodiment of what if something goes wrong? There is no optimism there. It is, everything is like, but, yeah, that. Eeyore, which is, I mean, come on. This one's very obvious.
Yeah, this is the most obvious one.
Yeah, it's depression. It's constantly pessimistic, very low energy, never expects good things, and is frequently isolated. The story that I read to my son yesterday actually focused a lot on Eeyore, about how he was having a good day and that felt weird to him. And so Piglet and Pooh came up with a plan to make Eeyore feel better by giving him something to be upset about. They knocked over his house and said, "I'm so sorry, we'll fix it." And Eeyore smiled about it and then felt better because his day had gone wrong. Like, that's what the story, that was the story. Was they went out to visit all of their friends, but they realized that Eeyore was acting not like himself. So they wanted to do something to help him act and be more like himself to feel better.
You're too happy. Let's make you sad.
Well, he was sad because he was happy. Because it felt wrong, because he's usually used to being sad. So he felt bad about being happy. Like, there's a whole level of, like, other disorders with that one, I feel like. But yeah.
This is why we saved this one for last, because this is, like, the darkest one of all.
Yeah. So it's like, is Eeyore depressed, or is Eeyore just the only character who's realistic? I mean, let's be real. And then another one that I really enjoyed. I'm going to list what this character does. And let's see if you can guess which character this is, because boy oh boy do I relate to this character. I also relate a little bit to Eeyore, but come on. I mean, don't we all at some point? Okay. Can't sit still. Extremely energetic. Easily distracted. Impulsive. And constantly bouncing around. It's ADHD. And it's Tigger. Tigger's a wonderful thing. The wonderful thing about Tiggers. I loved Tigger as a kid. He was one of my absolute favorite ones. Him and Eeyore were like my top favorites. Which, looking at my life now and looking back at my childhood and everything, that makes sense. What if like each kid's favorite character like tells you a little bit about that person? Because they probably relate to those specific characters, and they're like, wow, I really like this character. And maybe that's why.
That's dark.
Interesting.
This one is crazy.
Which is funny because I have absolutely been diagnosed with ADHD and a little smidgen of depression. That cracked me up when I found this whole conspiracy theory. I was just like, okay, yes, and?
Moving on to Rabbit. You can probably figure out there's a trend going on. You can pretty much guess what each character is. It's crazy how you just point out one thing and then they all make sense. Mm-hmm. So Rabbit, obsessive about his garden, extremely particular. He wants everything organized and he gets distressed when things aren't right. He supposedly has OCD. Mm-hmm. And the owl. This one was the most confusing to me. I think he's just like an old man. So there's narcissism / memory issues / dyslexia. His confidence in his own intelligence is especially interesting.
I need to go back and watch the old shows of Winnie the Pooh because I do remember a few of them. I don't remember Owl a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why I just imagined Owl as like a grumpy old man or something, or just like a wise old person.
I'm just curious. They didn't go into like Kanga or Roo.
That's my favorite name duo, by the way.
Yeah, and so I'm curious if like this is the whole theory. What are Kanga and Roo? Maybe they were too normal, I guess.
That, or maybe this calls for a part 2.
Oh, there's also Gopher. There's also the idea of what if these aren't different characters at all? What if it's just all parts of Christopher Robin's mind? I mean, he's the only human child in the world. So, I mean, the animals could represent different parts of like how he's feeling as a child and represent his way of like expressing them. Mm-hmm. I guess. So you've got fear, anxiety, depression, anger, impulsivity, obsessive behavior, confidence. So, I mean, that does make sense for like a child trying to figure out what all of these feelings mean and personifying them, I suppose.
Yeah, like you said, it makes it more relatable and makes people not feel like ashamed of their problems.
Yeah.
So instead of a boy lives in a forest with talking animals, it more leans on the side of a boy created a world where different parts of himself can interact. Is that creepier or is that cool? I think it's cool now because it like you said, makes it more relatable.
Yeah.
So when Christopher Robin leaves the 100-acre wood, is he actually leaving his imaginary world? And what happens to those characters when he grows up?
Yeah, or, like, is that, like, when he goes to to sleep at night and he like starts dreaming. He's dreaming of his own adventures and kind of sorting out what happened in his head during that day. And that's just his brain kind of figuring things out.
That's a cool theory. I like this even more now that we're talking. Like, the more we talk through it, the more I'm like, this was a great idea.
Yeah.
If it, theory-wise.
Yeah. As far as like which ones are the most believable, I'd say probably Game of Thrones is a very believable one if it weren't for the fact that the books came first. So I feel like Westworld more worked around Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So kind of absorbing that into it. Truly, I think they have absolutely nothing to do with each other at all.
The theory's cool.
It's so believable because of how they went about it. What's the most ridiculous one that you think?
Most ridiculous / doesn't really make sense. In theory, it's cool, but the Breaking Bad crossover with The Walking Dead, like.
Yeah, because it's two different states. Like they're not near each other whatsoever.
Yeah, to me, they don't link enough. Like, the show had many Easter eggs. That doesn't, to me, make it be conspiracy theory.
I think the most disturbing one is probably Teletubbies, just for the pure fact of, like, yeah, these are some odd beings that have these, like, eye hole things coming out of the ground watching you. It's weird to think about now, where it's like, so what's underground? What is that? And why is that?
Why are they in an empty bunker?
Yeah, it almost feels like it's an empty underground bunker with a bunch of fake sets. And then, like, somehow there's something under the bunker that's, like, keeping an eye on them. Or it's something that's above, up top, that can send up a robotic camera to look around.
It's so creepy.
It's weird.
The most clever one to me would be the Flintstones one.
Yeah.
I vote we go back to dinosaur times and have dinosaurs be our appliances.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like because dinosaurs are in the realms of animals for me, so I don't know that I would be able to do that. Because I feel like at a certain point, shoving a dinosaur under your sink and making it its only existence to be eating your trash feels like animal abuse to me.
Yeah, that's true. They're pets, but they like to help out. That's a theory I like.
Yeah, but like...
Not that they're forced to.
I would, yeah, because I mean, it's also kind of clever in the sense of like low, like the more poorer society and versus the rich people high up in the sky, hoity-toity, I'm above you kind of deal. So it's very like, what's in the middle? Is there anything in that middle ground? Is there another TV show that could be that?
Let us know below if we need to continue that theory on too.
Right? I think the most psychologically interesting one is going to be the Winnie the Pooh, just because that one it's just so good. It makes so much sense. It's wild. And though they say that was not their goal for it, the TV show or the characters or anything like that, it's one of those things where it's like, was it not? Like, are you sure about that?
Like, there's no crossovers. They all perfectly are distinct, different characteristics.
Which one would you actually want to investigate? Because apparently we can investigate haunted hospitals, abandoned buildings, shadow figures. But tonight, we've discovered that the real paranormal activity was hiding in our childhoods all along.
So let us know what you think of all these theories down below, and also tell us which ones you want us to expand on more. Check out the next video now.